But a big accusation made by Luke Edwards today, and that is that he has said that insiders at Newcastle have told him that from April onwards, Alexander Isak was behaving and playing like someone that did not want the team to qualify for the Champions League, as he knew it would make it harder for him to explain to Eddie Howe and supporters why he wanted to go. The article also states that after the League Cup final, and this is verbatim, it says insiders say Isak's behavior changed after the Wembley win. He became quiet and withdrawn. He was not focused or working hard in training. And a massive hit piece. Luke Edwards claiming it's all true, as in he's been told it's true, and that he's been keeping notes since May 2024 to suggest that this isn't new information. He's had it building up over the course of the last 15, 16 months. But LB, what's your take on this? I mean, he's done the deal. He signed.
Yeah.
The Newcastle press all summer said it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. Now it has. And he's a scumbag. He's nasty. And he tried to cost us Champions League football. What do you make of these big accusations today?
I think it's dangerous. I think it's very dangerous to start saying stuff like that, man. I think if you're going to start saying stuff like that, for me, you've got to have like serious evidence to back it up. Yeah, accusing the guy of not playing to his maximum. Yeah, I guess you're indirectly saying what he's missing chances on purpose. That's the way I'd take it when I read it. Not working. I just think this is. Listen, we can all sit here and we can have our opinions on what Isak did in terms of going on strike, not turning up, and his conduct. Yeah, that's cool, and I'm down to say that like whatever he did was not on or whatever. Yeah, if that's your opinion. But to start throwing that, it just looks to me like you're just being pure salty, man. Do you know what I'm saying? And I've got to say, man, I think the Newcastle fans should be 100% fuming with Isak, yeah. But I also think they should be 100% fuming with the reporters that cover Newcastle, because what they've been saying for the last 6 months is just nonsense, man. And whether that came from the club and therefore it's not really the reporter's fault, someone else, you've got to look at the whole picture, man. They've been going on saying he's not for sale. Newcastle are not going to sell him. Well, I look at it and go, I think they were always going to sell him if they got the money. If they got the money and they could get a replacement, they were always going to. So why have you been saying that there was never for sale? Yeah, so I think the Newcastle fans should obviously be fuming with Isak. Yeah, but I also think they should be fuming with some of the reporters that cover Newcastle football. And I think this latest piece on Isak and how he was performing and conducting himself in the last few months of the season, I think it's pathetic. I think it's dangerous, and I don't really think you should be able to say shit like that unless you've got proof. And how are you going to get proof? You know, we were speaking off air just before we come live. Like, the only person that's going to know that is Isak himself, and Isak's not going to come out and admit it. So, to be honest with you, yeah, I just think this is it's not on. I think Newcastle just need to move on. Yeah, forget it. It's done. You got a British record transfer fee, 130 million quid. Yeah, big money. You've got your new geezers in, Visser and the German guy. Like, just move on, man. But nah, I just think this is like, is it cope? Are they trying to cope and put this report out to sort of like soften the blow, to say, well, he wasn't trying anyway or whatever? Like, nah, I just think this is not the one, man. This is not the one.
Yeah, facts. No, I want to echo a lot what you said as well, because you're talking fucking facts, LB. Yeah, we had a little chat about that offline, and like I said, unless it comes from the horse's mouth, you are playing a very dangerous game coming out with accusations like that. Now, is it probably the geezer probably coming out and trying to make his few quid off of obviously the fanfare of it all? Because it was the saga of the summer. Let's get it right, wasn't it? Isak to Liverpool was the saga of the summer. Is the geezer now coming out and just trying to get his couple of pence in on it? You don't really know, but it's a bit of a defamation of character. I mean, like we're saying, I'd like to see the proof. Because as well, we see the tweet that he was saying, and he says sort of things in the lines of some insiders suggested. Okay, some insiders, plural. Okay, what insiders were they? Where did you get that from? How many of them was it filtered down to until you got that story then? If this is such a big story and it's accurate and you have proof, why have they not ran with it? Why has it fell to you, 73 subscribers, 73K subscribers? Why has it fell to you? Like, I'm sorry, if the word in the industry, if you got this news filtered down to you, then why are you running it? And it's just a dangerous thing. Why have they swerved it? More to the question, because there's probably nothing to back it up. And if you're going to come and attack someone's character like that, it's defamation. You've got to be bloody right if you want to come out. Or you've got to be right, or you've got to be stupid. And I'm probably going to go with the latter on this. I think he's just trying to get a bit of a follow, and he's coming out with a story that's out there, isn't he? I think, let's face it, this story is out there, and I think it is disgusting. The words that Terry's used are absolutely right. Unless he's going to come out and give us proof from the horse's mouth, i.e. Isak's, and be like, yeah, here we go. We've got video evidence or factual evidence that can back this up. Maybe the geezer could just stick to his lane, keep reporting for the Telegraph up north, and shut your mouth with these silly accusations, because you probably lost more respect than you've gained from this silly little story, mate. It's no good. And things like this need to stay away. They absolutely have no place in this business. If you think something, don't say it's factual. He's coming out there and basically saying, oh, yeah, he's hiding behind all the little word in the industry, or insiders. Who's the insiders then? Why are they not running with it? It's a joke to me. I'm sorry. It's no good. No place.
I agree. Luke Edwards was a reporter this summer who got so much wrong. And he always kept... Yeah. He did this weird thing where if you read his articles where he was talking about not for sale, not for sale, not for sale, there's always a caveat or two in the articles. And Ash, who's commenting on the screen, is a Newcastle fan. He and I spoke on camera many times that he'd say one thing, then there would be a passage in the article that would always leave the door open to him leaving. But every time there was like a development that sounded like it was in Newcastle's favour, he'd kind of quote tweet his body of work and say, I told you all, you are simpletons. This deal isn't happening. I tried to tell you, it's a joke. He did that 2 or 3 times, and then the deal ends up happening. He actually attacked the Newcastle owners the other day. He said that Piff, that this summer they were no different to Mike Ashley. They caved and they should be embarrassed. Comparing them to Mike Ashley, I think in itself is an abomination. And that was the man's pride talking, not his brain. The accusations in this article, though, don't make sense. And any Newcastle fan running with them, I'm going to say this, you're Mike Ashley. Any Newcastle fan pushing this story, you were going to damage your club like Mike, in a similar way to Mike Ashley did. You are the same as him. How is it true? First of all, if you've had this information since April and May, why didn't you run it, Luke Edwards? You said you had notes. Why wouldn't you put this up? Why wasn't this part of your stories all summer saying, listen, guys, I know you want to keep him. I know the club want to keep him, but I've got to tell you something that was really important that was told to me a couple of months ago. He was trying to sabotage the end of our season. That may have changed how Newcastle fans wanted this to be handled in the first place. Why would you hold it back till now? Strange. Secondly, if these insiders are telling you the truth, let's put 2 and 2 together and see what we get here. Because I feel like we're getting 492. You were offering him multiple deals over the summer to make him your highest paid player in the history of your football club. As recent as last Monday, your owners were at his house trying to at least convince him to reintegrate, if not stay. Why would you be offering new deals and reintegration and begging a player to stay if he tried to sabotage the last 2 months of your season, if he wasn't working hard to damage your season? This is the element that doesn't make sense. Equally, when you read the article, there is no point where he has gone to Isak, Isak's camp, Isak's agent, Isak's lawyer to ask for their right of reply. There is no, this is what an insider told us. This is what the player has said. He might have just said the player refused to comment, but at least you've given him an opportunity. That isn't suggested in the article. David Ornstein, Ben Jacobs, and Fabrizio were abused all summer because of journalists like Luke Edwards. But their articles were quite balanced. It would say Liverpool want this, player wants that, Newcastle were saying this. They gave you all 3 sides of the story, and then you as a grown-up can make a decision on what you believe. And they were abused for it. Luke Edwards, who is sort of like the Pied Piper of the abuse gang this summer, almost zero balance to this article. Not Isak denies this, the club say this, Isak says this, Isak says that, the club says this. Just all one-sided, almost propaganda-ish approach. And I agree with what you both said. It's dangerous because you now know that Isak's going to get even more abuse. He's probably already had it in his DMs. He's going to get racial abuse off the back of it, because what always happens in these scenarios is you get the heavy criticism, which is maybe fair, on the way he forces his way out the club. Then you'll get the abusers who try and cover it up as criticism, and then in amongst all the noise and mess, you get the little racist bigots pop up and go, "Oh, I'll throw a little bit in, and nobody might notice because there's so much hate going on around him at the moment." And that's also what's going to happen. You would have experienced this firsthand as a fan, LB. The hit jobs done on Raheem Sterling from the moment he joined Manchester City that still get him booed now, all these years later. And as much as I don't want to see a Liverpool player like Isak succeed on a footballing level, because I'm a United fan, I don't want to see another human being put through that kind of scrutiny for doing it on a real level. He ain't killed anyone. He's not dropping bombs on innocent people. He's not cutting money from the old age pensioners. He's not cutting money from schools. He isn't making nurses work 80-hour weeks and underpaying them. Like he's not a cruel human being for going, I fancy going to the best team in England at the moment, especially with how much they're spending and what they're building. I want to be part of that. He's not nice. Newcastle fans don't have to like him anymore. They can take his legendary status away. They're within their rights to do it. But these types of articles are just not needed. And I know what Luke Edwards will say. I think it's in the public interest of Newcastle fans to know this. Then why sit on it all summer, you bellend? Why sit on it all summer if it's within their best interest? You're releasing it now as a way of, again, deflecting away from how terribly you've covered this article all summer. An horrendous hit piece, and that's all it is. It's a hit piece to damage his character, and Aaron, you're spot on. He's going to sit behind the industry insiders. My sources told me. You know, I can't make the accusation that he's made it up because he could probably take me to court. But I would understand why some people would suggest there's a possibility that it's made up because industry insiders. So, yeah, look, terrible form from Luke Edwards. But then he's been atrocious all summer. And I think he's actually lost 10 times as many followers and respect from the Newcastle fan base than he has gained for this behaviour. Because I just don't think Isak deserves it at all. Maybe that's just me.
It also says in a very, because obviously he's done a timeline, right?
Yeah.
So is in May 2024, it says it was 16 months ago Newcastle first realised they would have an issue with Isak, right? So it was actually last summer that the conversations about Isak were being internally discussed about his future, right? And it says Chelsea made a tentative approach to assess whether they could buy Isak, and an asking price well in excess of £150 million was quoted, right? 2 paragraphs later, it said, when Isak discussed the the move with Newcastle, they said, "You're not for sale at any price." So within 2 paragraphs, you've gone from the price is 150 million to you're not for sale at any price. So it's kind of like this is what I'm talking about. It's like Newcastle fans, I think, have a right to be pissed off with the way that these guys have covered the story, because I've seen it. I spoke to Newcastle. I've been on loads of shows with Newcastle fans over the last 6 months, and I get why. They've been telling everybody that no, Isak's not going anywhere. We're not selling him. We're refusing to sell. He's not for sale. And I've been like, okay, whatever. This is what you're telling me. And they're saying this is what our journalists are saying. They're telling us he's not for sale at any price. And that's just BS. That was always BS. So they've been misled by the journalists. Yeah. Now, whether that's the journalist's fault or whether that's the people who are telling the journalists, I don't know that. Again, only the journalists are going to know the truth about what's happened. You know, if the top dogs at Newcastle have been telling them, yo, we're not selling this guy at any price, they go, okay, well, we'll tell the Newcastle fans that in an article. It's not the journalist's fault, right? But at the same time, should you not be experienced enough to know that that's probably BS? Like, we all know there's everyone's got a price, right?
Even today, Man United journalists are saying that at no point this summer was a goalkeeper that much of a priority. But every Man United fan worth their salt reads that and goes, that can't be true. We were making loan inquiries at Emi Martinez in June. So the idea that it wasn't some type of priority doesn't make sense. But when you listen to what our journalists said in their articles, it was Man United are stating this. However, they've done this, that, and the other. The likes of Luke Edwards didn't do that this summer. It was very much, they've said no, it will be no. There's no other side to this story. Isak's now making this statement, but this ain't true. This is actually what happened. It was, and I get why Newcastle fans have been suckered in. If they think, you know, even in our group chats the other day, the Newcastle fans in there were like, No, Luke Edwards is respected. He knows the game. He understands things. And I'm sitting there going, guys, I think you're being a little bit indoctrinated here. Read the room. I think Newcastle have used the likes of Luke Edwards to help publicly negotiate, like all our clubs do. But Luke Edwards has taken it all literally like it was the truth. We as football fans are sitting there going, Liverpool aren't shutting this down. And Liverpool walk away from every transfer that they know is impossible. They're very good at it. They go, fuck this, too hard. Let's move on to another target. The fact that all summer, not one member of the Liverpool media shut it down and said that is going to happen. It was always Liverpool hold a confidence. Liverpool are still looking. Liverpool won't just walk away. Even when they said Liverpool won't bid again, they said until they get encouragement from Newcastle. If you've followed Liverpool, forget Newcastle. If you've followed Liverpool for more than 2 or 3 years, when their press are talking like that, you know there's a real chance that deal happens. And it was the way that was just ignored. That is really what upset me this summer. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I know we all get annoyed at the language from transfer journalists and it can be frustrating with market opportunities and, you know, as it stands, some people don't like that. But we've all kind of learned to read the transfer index language and matrix. We all know what they kind of mean by the things that they say. And all summer we had at United up until we got Šeško. Yeah, Rasmus is part of the plans. He's part of the plans. He's part of the plans. But we could also tell by the players we were pursuing that he wasn't. But you just have to read between the lines. And they've done a terrible job this summer. They really have.